All right, I will call to order the December 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission. I will note that we have a forum with myself, Chairwoman Allen, and Vice Chairman Payne here in person, and Commissioner Jones on virtually. Next item on the agenda, the disposition of minutes.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, we received a copy of the minutes for the Alcohol Tobacco Commission meeting of November 18th, 2025. I've reviewed they are appropriate, extensive, and appropriate. I move acceptance of the minutes as proposed.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Prosecutor's recommendations.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we received a report from the prosecutor's office on the alcohol fine and tobacco fines collected. This recent term, there were 40 fines collected for a total of $26,200. 4 are worthy of note. The first comes from Fort Wayne, Indiana, Peanuts Food and Spirits. There was a report and complaint of a fight inside the business in August of this year. The officers interviewed the witnesses and the video surveillance tape. The fight began inside and then completed outside. Business is currently on the PACE program. As a result of all of that, the parties agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and a 3-day suspension of the alcohol permit. The second comes from Rushville. UV Retail conducted a permit visit. During the visit, they located hundreds of smokable hemp products, both in pre-roll and flower form. Since those are illegal, according to the rules and laws of the state of Indiana, they were determined to be a tobacco nuisance. They've agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and a 7-day suspension of the permit. The second comes from Newcastle, Indiana, Family Mart. Officer conducted a permit visit as a result of recent complaint of sale to minors. During the visit, they located over 1,000 smokable hemp products, both in pre-roll and flower form. This again being a violation of Indiana rules and law. It was determined to be a tobacco nuisance. The parties agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and 7-day suspension of the tobacco. Finally, from Plymouth, Indiana, a Citgo, there was a complaint that the business of selling tobaccos to minors. During the investigation, the officer observed an 18-year-old male purchase an e-liquid product from the on-duty clerk without a check of the customer's age or date of birth. This was the third fatal to minor violation in the past 5 years. Parties have agreed to a $1,000 civil penalty and a 3-day suspension of tobacco certificate. As a personal comment, I want to note that half of the noteworthy today involved hemp products, and this is becoming a significant problem that store owners and permitters need to be aware of. I move acceptance of the prosecutor's report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, consideration of applications. There are 294 renewal applications.
Madam Chair, Judge Payne, I incorporate by reference this list of 294 applications for renewal. These have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by said staff with authority of the commission. I hereby move for approval of the same, pending any needed escrow hearings and inclusion of this list as part of the minutes of today's meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, 15 new and transfer applications.
I incorporate by reference this list of 15 permit applications for a new permit or applications for changes in ownership or location, or both, those being for existing permits. These have been recommended by local boards and reviewed by a commissioner. I hereby move for approval of the same, pending a final floor plan approval by the State Excise Police and an escrow hearing if needed. Further move for inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, 53 catering applications.
I incorporate by reference this list of 53 permit applications for catering, hereby move for approval of the same, and further move for inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, 4 direct wine shipper applications.
It'll come as no surprise as I incorporate by reference this list of 4 new and renewal direct wine shippers. Permits, hereby move for approval of the same and inclusion of this list as part of today's minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, waivers of fees for letters of extension.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, we've received information regarding the waivers of fees for letters of extension. I move acceptance of those.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Items for discussion. The first item for discussion is permit RR 3439494 Misty's Palace LLC. This is a renewal with local board voting 3-1 to approve for 1 year.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, this comes from to us from Howard County. It was heard at the local board on November 25th as a continuance from their October hearing. Their October hearing identified a number of issues by the local board members that were to be addressed by the November hearing. At that hearing, council appeared on behalf of the permittee. This resulted, this was renewal of permit of Misty's Palace LLC, which is known as the Country Palace. Information at the hearing disclosed that this may be the largest bar in the city of Kokomo, and perhaps in Howard County. They had several issues that were prominent. While they may appear to be minor, there was a violation in February and then another in April of this year that had containers issues and serving after closing hours. The problem was that they were the same offenses committed with a two-month period of time. There was information provided by one of the board members of concerns of the operation of the bar itself, indicating that there have been a number of violent incidences at that location, which perhaps isn't surprising since it may be the largest bar in the county. The permittee, a female Misty owner, who I think her husband is recently deceased and she's now a sole operator, which creates an ownership problem they need to resolve. But she appeared with council and they'd spent an extensive time coming up with a plan of correction. I don't think it was an identified corrective action plan, but it included things like closing earlier than 3 o'clock, closing at 2 o'clock, adding additional cameras both inside and outside the facility, an ID scanner that had monitors on it, extra lighting in and outside the building to not be so dark. Again, everyone has to leave by 2:30 rather than 3:30. They have armed security. They had a contract. They increased their own internal security and then hired an outside armed security team based out of Kentucky that includes men and women who are both military, former military and law enforcement, who not only serve inside at the gate at the door, but they are roaming both inside and outside the building. In other words, they had an extensive plan. The board asked a number of questions, were satisfied for the most part that they were making significant changes and that any concern about the past history was going to be addressed. The permittee asked for a 1-year rather than 2-year extension to manage and monitor under the new proposed security plan, and that was accepted by the majority of the members of the local board. Again, it was, as you indicated, a 3-1 vote for a 1-year extension, renewal of the permit, with the plan identified and subject to the plan continuing to be enforced. Based upon all of that, Madam Chair, I move we, under RR 34-39494, Misty's Palace LLC, doing business as the Country Palace, that we approve the local board recommendation by a 3-1 vote to renew the permit for a 1-year period of time.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item for discussion is RR 02-41719 Peanuts LLC. This matter also comes on for an extension request.
This permit expired on November 18th of this year. This is the first extension. We continued this from the 11/25 meeting. Shortly after that meeting, all the materials that were missing were updated. That included a certificate of insurance, missing carryout, missing sales. They had been placed on the PACE program after a visit from our prosecutor and another person from excise. They were advised to apply for this extension rather than just a renewal, so they could try to clear up some of the problems they've had. It was set for a local board hearing on yesterday, December 1st, 2025, but last I knew, at least, they were going to ask for an extension of that, or a continuance of that hearing, I believe. Given that the permittee has sent in the information, also there was a question of a tax clearance that needed to be filed. They have submitted to us information from the Department of Revenue that there was a substantial payment made on yesterday's date. Now, if it had been made earlier, obviously we could have better information. We don't have a tax clearance form yet, but given the substantial payment that was made by Peanuts to the Department of Revenue, which has been substantiated by the Department of Revenue's communication or recognition that that substantial payment was made, I would recommend that an extension be given for 2 weeks to the next hearing, and that at that time we verify whether that tax protest has in fact been cleared by the Department of Revenue. That is my motion, that the extension on RR 02-41719 Peanuts LLC be given for that 2-week period of time, so we can verify that the amount paid actually does clear up the tax issue.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item is RC 4914247 Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 98. This matter comes on for an extension request.
And just for a matter of note, I think I confused which permittee was asking for a continuance of their local board hearing. I apologize for that. This is the Loyal Order of Moose's second extension request. They had a local board hearing set for yesterday, but they were going to request a continuance to January. The current extension expires on December 5th. All the paperwork is now complete. The only hold is a tax protest, which will need to be cleared before issuing the extension if approved. There was a tax clearance form for this permit, which has been submitted now. They no longer have any active holds in EMLO. So I would move for approval of the second extension request for 90 days from December 5th.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We have one extension to add to the agenda. That is RC 4904020, Indianapolis Lodge number 17, Loyal Order of Moose. Can we take it by consent to add that to the agenda?
Consent.
Consent.
All right, I will show that added to the agenda by consent. And I'll open that for discussion.
Well, Madam Chair, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, this one, I think, is the one where they are asking for the continuance, or
Yes.
there's more than one, but continuing from December to January. And so given that, they would need an extension, and I would move for a 90-day extension.
Second.
I will I will second that or third that and apologize for my confusion.
That's all right. We had two RC permits here in a row. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Inactive files, the first item for consideration is permit RR 4534038. This is a request to remove from the dead list for 1 year. We previously continued this. The request is coming from a purchaser that we have no record of having anything on file for us. So I'm concerned that we're not actually getting the request from the permit holder. I think I tried to make this motion last time and then realized it wasn't actually up to be made dead last meeting. So my motion that I'll bring up again is to continue consideration of making this permit dead for 30 days. Ask them to work with our attorneys to determine if they have enough documentation to get the permit transferred. My understanding was they had the consent to transfer and everything from the seller, and the buyers did not timely file with us. So it seems like the issues are with the buyer, but the permit is still held by the seller. So I would move to continue this for consideration 30 days, ask them to work with our legal department to see if this matter can move. And I'll note that I'm not inclined to let it go for another year, given that our statute says permits can sit expired in 6 months.
Second.
And I was just gonna say, I don't see a
Sorry.
legal proceeding that caused this. It seems like it was just a failure to file the right documents. So it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next item, there are, I'm confused. It's the 5 permits. So we just took the 5 to 4, is that right? Okay.
I believe so.
So with that, there are 4 permits to be made inactive that were previously announced at the November 18th, 2025 meeting.
Madam Chair, I incorporate or reference the list of permit applications being made dead and hereby move the approval of same and the inclusion in the minutes of the meeting of the ATC for December 2nd, 2025.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Just announcing the 39 permits to be made inactive on 12/16/2025. If we don't get the, don't get a renewal application in, no escrow hearings in December. And then I will note the moved dates for 2026 are listed now, including that we will have a meeting on Wednesday, January 21st, instead of that Tuesday because of the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Not seeing any other items on the agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
do we have your authorization